Case file, The Lightwalkers. Observer, 15989666920. Location, the sluice ward and the central hub. Subject, the Lightwalkers. Day 7, late afternoon, the Phantom Menace. I set up on a rusted catwalk above the throne room. The spirit was a localized disaster. 12 feet of translucent malice, moving with the jagged, tearing speed of a hurricane. It thrashed. The fight opened with a shockwave. The phantom swept the room, putting half the party on their backs in the muck. Before they could find their feet, the thing launched itself upward, hitting the ceiling, and then came crashing down like a meteor. The impact was devastating. The cavern groaned. 2-ton blocks of ancient masonry snapped loose from the ceiling and rained down on the kill box. It was total chaos. Dust, blood, and the shrieking of summoned lesser spirits the phantom pulled from the ether to run interference. By all rights, it should have been a total wipe. But Athinganos and Helen refused to let anyone die. They moved through the falling debris in spectral crossfire, knitting flesh back together, pulling their heavy hitters from the brink. It was the difference between a massacre and a victory. The party chewed through the Phantom's reinforcements and finally ripped the core out of the big bastard. The throne room went quiet, save for the sound of heavy breathing and shifting rubble. Day 7, the final pyre. The throne the Vermin King was building was actually the massive bowl of the sluice ward pyre. Ingrid, bleeding and exhausted, looked at the empty bowl. I saw the ambition in her posture. She took a step toward it, ready to claim the seat, to sit where kings were meant to sit. Helen didn't even notice the politics. She just saw an unlit fuse. With almost childlike eagerness, Helen bypassed Ingrid and struck the sensor. The ghost flame roared into the bowl. The fourth pyre. The circuit was complete. They started to celebrate. I watched them clap shoulders and lean on their weapons. But then, the atmosphere snapped. I felt it in my teeth. The air pressure dropped so fast my ears popped. The pale blue light flickered, and a voice, deep, ancient, and echoing with the crushing weight of the ocean floor, vibrated through the stone. It spoke in the skull, directly into your mind. You have earned my attention. The Lightwalkers froze. The celebration died in their throats. You don't want the attention of whatever lives at the bottom of the world. Day 7, night. The Vermin Court. Tarsa has survival instincts. He didn't want to meet the local warlord while they were leaking blood. He called a retreat. They found a rat hole in the shanty town and boarded it up. The rest did them good. In fact, it did more than good. When they emerged, they moved differently. Their strikes in practice were faster. Their magic hummed louder. They had crossed a threshold, a third tier. They are no longer just survivors. They are apex predators. They spent their remaining coin in the slums, upgrading plate and edge, preparing for whatever had just noticed them. Helen took to the air for recon. Through my glass, I watched her soar above the sluice. The city was transformed. The 4 pyres burned like pillars of dead starlight. And the shroud, that impenetrable fog bank of sickness and rot, it was gone. The light had pushed it back, peeling the shadows off the map. The board was open. Day 8, morning, Garbunk. They finally went to report to the Vermin King. I expected a tyrant, a monster of cunning and cruelty. What I got was a goblin in a patchwork coat. The political summit was a farce that only this city could produce. The Vermin King sat on his newly cleared throne and spoke exactly one word: Garbunk. The sycophants around him nodded sagely, translating the grunts and inflection into eloquent paragraphs of gratitude, statecraft, and diplomacy. "The king thanks you for your service," they translated from a single word. It was absurd. But in the sluice, you play the game or you become fertilizer. Pleasantries exchanged, the king granted them a boon, an escape hatch, a smuggler's route out of the muck. Day 8, midday, the open board. They didn't want to be followed, so they took the rat ways. I had to use 3 different shortcuts just to keep their trail. They popped out in the central hub, breathing the marginally cleaner air near the forge. The city is quiet now. Too quiet. The shroud is gone, the pyres are lit, and the path to the bottom is clear. They stand in the center of the ruins, looking out at a map that no longer hides its teeth. They are deciding their next move, and somewhere in the dark below, something is waiting for them.